Hi everybody, Norman Van Aken here. And if you've been following, you know about my treasure book series. And if you haven't been following, this might be a great place to start because this book changed my life. That is not hyperbole, that is the fact of the matter. This book is Culture and Cuisine, A Journey Through the History of Food by Jean-Francois Revel. I have no idea what design of fate brought me together with this book, but it did. In the middle of February of 1988, very, very key part of my life was happening right here. I had gone from being the chef of restaurants for many years to becoming the chef co-owner of one at the corners of Simonton and Fleming Streets in Key West. We called the restaurant Mira, M-I-R-A, which is the Spanish word for a look. I went into a bookstore, which is still in business there on Fleming Street, the Key West bookstore, and I bought this book. I'm sure I must have stood there for half an hour thinking about buying this book because I didn't have extra money for buying anything at that point in time. This book is the book that brought me to the place to come up with a term, fusion cuisine or fusion cooking. It was in reading this historical book that I became educated in a way that I had not been educated quite so much before. This is a French writer who wasn't a cookbook writer. He was a book writer on history and sociology and culture. If you could see as well as I could hear, you would see that there are many, many places that I underlined passages of it. Here is the key page, page 10. I don't know that I'm doing justice to this book. I just really want to convey to you how much it helped me think about cuisine historically. Before I come to this page exactly, see, Revel's point of view is that over the course of time, this book actually goes from around the middle of the 12th century to the modern times and the Nouvelle Cuisine food movement. He argues and shows how historically humankind has gone back and forth between the adoration of both simplicity on one hand and complexity on the other. A pendulum swinging both ways, back and forth over the course of time, sometimes more swiftly than others, and of course, not all over the world at the same place in every which way. But if you do think about it, we do go back and forth with our interest in food becoming quite brainy or becoming quite comforting. He wrote, "The gastronomical serial written by the centuries has as its plot the constant battle between between the good amateur cook and the thinking chef. A lover's quarrel that, as in all good adventure novels, ends after many a stormy scene with a marriage." And I wrote the words, a fusion. Nobody had used that in regards to cooking before. And I had no plan to do that either, really, myself. I was searching. I was searching very much for what I would do. I was at that place where I had cooked for many other restaurants, and I had cooked out of books, and I had examined everything from the Californian food movement to diners to French Nouvelle Cuisine, all of that. But I began to understand that I needed to find my own particular voice. And in that voice, I recognized something within myself, and this book certainly helped me a great deal with that, which was that I didn't want to give up either one. I did not want to give up the complexity, and I did not want to give up the simplicity. In my own life, I was tasting both of them sometimes within the same day. I could go to a really funky Latin American Cuban restaurant, let's just say, somewhere in the neighborhood, Key West, and have a banging lunch, arroz con pollo, something like that, hearty fare, something to take me through the long day and night of cooking. And then in the process of cooking, I might have been studying the works of, say, Paula Wolfert or Jacques Pepin, and seeing how things were made in the most complex ways. I felt that's where my heart belonged, was in what I called in that fusion cooking piece, the spinning coin between the two, complexity and simplicity. It's a deep book. It's not a recipe book. It's a book that changed my life, as I say. This guy's major brainy, and then here are lines. What was Tayavan's contribution? The importance he attributed to sauces, all words like that I didn't understand, verdier. And he said, one can find in Tayavan a recipe for tuna with pears seasoned with oregano and lemon. It was in the 1300s. Tuna with pears and oregano. Doesn't that sound like something that just came out from a brainy restaurant in New York City? I could read so many things to you, but really that's not what I should do right now. I should just, incredible. Yes, I was excited, and marginalia, I love that word. And here's I'm writing about how Giuliano would argue this point, I'm sure. Well, the Giuliano I'm referring to is Giuliano Bugiali, who wrote the magnificent The Foods of Italy, which I got pretty much at the same time. The page markers are from all back then. I'm exploring. I'm looking for my place. I'm looking for my mindset. And this book is one of this style. This book is one of two that I will talk to you about when it comes to the formation of my cuisine, and the cuisine that has brought me to this place today, 35 or more years ago from the day I walked in this bookstore. And isn't that what books ideally are all about? The ability to transform us, to enlarge us, to free our thinking. There should be no banned books. There can be no banned ideas. There can be banned actions. There can be banned bad behavior. But ideas are what humankind are all about. A globe. Globes have been very much a part of the things I collect and I've been given over the years. This one happened to be holding down a piece of paper this afternoon, but I think it's perfectly fitting that it's sitting next to this beautiful book. A treasure book, no doubt about it. All right, folks. I bid you adieu. I'll see you later. Thanks.